If your emotions and triggers are just feeling crazy, it is not anything wrong with you. It's just the season and time of your life among this spiritual awakening that you are going through. And you're being a real badass at it too because most people can't do it. So today I want to talk about that. If you're new here, my name is Tyson. On this channel, we talk about spirituality and relationships, and everything is all about getting to the best and highest version of yourself. And while we are going through that process every day, and we have wins, and then sometimes we have lows, and then sometimes we feel mediocre, I feel like that's all part of this awakening that I think many people are going through. So when I talk about spiritual awakening, I don't mean just like this high love and light and all this other bullshit. I, I really mean like going through triggers, right? Going through traumas, going through the evolution of evolving to understand yourself, right? So most of the time when we grow up in life, we are often programmed and triggered and have trauma, but we're mainly all of that trigger and trauma, a lot of it comes from that programming of things that we were taught as children. So I said before on my channel that um, some of my experience was feeling like I was too much of a sensitive child, or that my feelings were invalid, or there was something that seemed like it was wrong. It was never really told to me, that, well, in some cases it was, but it wasn't completely told to me on a daily basis that there was something wrong with me. But the interactions that I did have, that there was something wrong with my emotions or my sensitivities, made me feel like I was a bad person, or there was something wrong. I needed to change my behavior because it was bad. When in reality, that wasn't the case at all. It was just that I was very comfortable with my emotions, and I allowed myself to express my emotions freely. And it was other people's insecurities that, caused me to feel as if there was something wrong with me. So that's just one example. There are other examples that I could list, but I'm not going to make this video that long, so I'm not going to get into all that. But I do think that a lot of times when we are maybe staying in an environment that we don't feel safe in, right? It's not physically safe. Maybe you feel like you couldn't voice your opinion, without some type of ridicule. Maybe you feel like you were always being called rude or disrespectful or whatever it was, right? And maybe now those things aren't happening as much, but maybe because you have to stay at home, let's say if you're living at home with your parent or parents, or you're just around people that you don't really want to be around, but that's just where you are in the season, and everything in the house is triggering you. Because that's been my experience right now, actually, is like even while I'm still sitting in the house and nobody's home, right, I still feel triggered when I am at home, right, when I am in those spaces. And no matter sometimes how many times we maybe have like, positive affirmations, or we do all the things that we can try to do, we still sometimes tend to feel like I'm getting triggered by this and I don't understand why. So I just want to say that if you're somebody who's been putting in the work, you've been somebody who has been studying, your shadow self for a long time, you've been evolving, you've been growing, you're like, Tyson, what the hell is happening? It honestly is just part of the process. You are just awakening. We awaken multiple times in our lives. You know, it's not just one time and that's it. We awaken many, many times. And so, which I think is kind of cool. And I feel like one of the biggest things that I can tell you to support you as you might feel moments of depression, where maybe you're not eating or you're not taking care of yourself as much, don't beat yourself up for that. Let yourself go through that process. You'll get back to showering, you'll get back to eating, you'll get back to taking care of yourself. Because sometimes when you go through these really sometimes harsh awakenings, a lot of it is emotional, right? You're unraveling so many old patterns of how you used to behave. Like for me, I'm realizing that I have to kind of really accept and understand that I'm shifting out of who I used to be as far as my relationship to certain people in my life. I'm no longer the people pleaser. I'm no longer just doing things just because. I'm no longer taking somebody's, word solely as God. I'm really realizing that like I can choose to make these decisions and these notions and these situations for myself. I really can I don't have to be, brutalized or continue to keep thinking like, oh, wait, let me check to make sure because I don't know if they might be right. It's me learning like about me. And while that is exciting, it's also kind of a little bit on the egotistical side. My ego is freaking out like, what the hell is going on? Because we're so used to doing things one way. We're so used to maybe believing or thinking in one way. And now we're shifting that whole perspective because now from a spiritual perspective and from, again, knowing my higher self and knowing the higher perspective, better part of me says, you can trust in yourself. You know what the fuck you're doing. You got it in the bag. And I think that's just important for somebody who just feels like, I don't understand why I'm being triggered by so many things. I'm doing the work. I'm healing myself. I don't understand why things are taking so long. If y'all haven't known, like I've been unemployed for a year. I have dealt with not showering, not eating, not taking care of myself as much as I should be because of just the process of what has been unraveling. I've been going to therapy, so that's really been helping a lot, and I'm so grateful for that. If you can afford what it's kind of challenging in some cases, but you can afford therapy if you do the research and find the right person. I used to think that I could not do it, and I found someone. There's always a way. I'm telling you, ask the universe to provide a way for your circumstance and your situation, because my partner is in therapy, and I always wanted to go into therapy, and he inspired me to get into therapy. So, and I just always wanted to do it because I needed somebody to speak to and to talk to outside of family, outside of friends, and outside of yourself, and even watching videos like mine. Because what I've come to understand is that even within my like teenage self right now, I'm going through this period in my life where I am approaching the version of who I was as a teenager, but with a better perspective. And now trusting myself as a higher perspective of my teenage self today, right? And working through the relationship with him right now in my life, and that is causing a lot of ripple effect of like, oh wow, I could actually move out and trust myself. Oh wow, I actually don't need to listen to the manipulation or the the negativity in my mind that's trying to pull me back just to be safe, or from uncomfortable emotions. You know what I mean? All of this is crazy. Yesterday, I don't know when I'm gonna post this, but a couple of days ago, I had this situation where I realized, okay, like I'm starting to ask for help. Like I realized I'm still kind of struggling with it a little bit, but I realized that there's some people in my life that I'm still like, I don't know if you're a person that can fuel me in this certain situation of my life. And I'm okay with that. And it's uncomfortable though, because it's kind of like, I remember when I used to think that I could not do those things. I had to depend on certain people, right? Or at least I thought that, right? That's kind of like what the ego thought. It thought that I needed this and I needed that. Now, while we do need support, while it is good to have support, sometimes it doesn't have to come from the people that maybe you didn't have so many good experiences with. Maybe you don't have to lean and put your trust on certain people in certain situations. I think it's important to just, the whole basis of this video, just allow yourself to get to know you. I think a lot of times because we're so in the Black community especially, in my experience, there's so much of like praising elders, and in society, and we're just taught to not trust ourselves. We're taught to rely on other things, rely on other people. There's no such thing as looking within. There's no such thing as trusting yourself. There's none of that. So when you open up to being like, okay, some of the fuckery that's been said around me don't make no damn sense, and I want to learn from myself, you are really opening up a whole portal that is very uncomfortable. And so your ego will get you into a space, and when I say ego, it means the version of yourself that tries to protect you, that just wants to protect you from getting wounded from past experiences, wants you to stay in a comfortable space because that's what's familiar. But see, your soul is going to push you to be like, bitch, we ain't doing this shit. We're going to expand. And when you hit that mark of expansion, it's going to be very uncomfortable for a while sometimes, in my experience. And you got to think about it. I mean, for somebody who's 21, 22, 23, 24, whatever, even if you're younger than that, you're becoming aware of this, awareness of yourself and this expansion of yourself. you got to realize that your mind and your brain is trying to protect you from something. Even if you know within your soul that this is for your expansion, this is for your growth, your ego is still trying to protect you. So it's being kind to yourself with all the ridicule that your mind wants to bring up, all the reasons why you need to leave, all the reasons why you need to disappear. But it's also understanding, like, wait, hold on, from a higher perspective, I know this is just my brain trying to protect me. If you don't understand the whole ego thing, my brain trying to protect me, but I know that I'm okay. And I know that I will grow through this and we will get through this. And I know that even when I talk about like still working through asking for help and stuff, realizing that it doesn't have to be the people that I think that my ego is telling me it has to be. It doesn't have to be, even by myself that I have to struggle and I gotta do. No, it's okay to ask the right people that whatever you feel is right next to do. This is something that we all go through. This is something that we all haven't even been taught. That a lot of that stuff, a lot of the things that we have been taught is very small. It's very minimal. It's not as expansive as it could be. We don't really trust in ourselves because we've been conditioned that we need to listen to this person or listen to that person or do this or do that. And we don't realize that all of these things that other people have told us is from their own perspectives of life. Even me, even what I'm telling you, this is just my own perspective. I don't know shit if we're really being honest. I don't know a fuck thing. Really, only you know what you need, right? Only you can listen to your own soul and your own journey. So if there's anything that I can tell you today is just to be patient with yourself. I'm still learning this journey, child. I'm still learning. I'm still learning, honey, how to ask for some damn help sometimes. I'm still learning that I don't have to fight things. I'm still learning that I don't need to be aggressive or defend. I don't got to do none of that. And I've come a long way. But I'm still learning I don't have to fight. You don't have to fight to try to keep yourself safe because that's what the brain and the mind wants you to do. We don't want to talk to people sometimes because we don't want to feel hurt in a certain situation. But if the higher perspective is, it's okay that you feel hurt, but don't let that control your life. Don't let that make you angry. Don't let that be a bitter person. Let other people have their own shit. That's their problem. But you stick to being kind to yourself. You stick to being patient with yourself. I have said before that when I mentioned earlier in the video that, I've had trouble sometimes showering and with depressive thoughts and taking care of myself. No, that doesn't mean that I'm a nasty ass person. That just means that, hey, there's something that's unraveling here. I'm doing some shadow work here. There are shadows that are coming up. There are painful parts that are coming up. And for me, it's just hard to do those things sometimes. But it is also because of the environment that I'm in. Sometimes I've had friends who will tell me, try doing this, try doing that. But please remember, they don't understand your journey. They're kind, they love you, but you have to still make those decisions and let yourself emerge and grow over time. So I hope this message helped you. Just please be positive with yourself, be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself, and please understand that your journey is your journey. People can love you, people can want what's best for you, but you have to understand that your soul evolves in its own space, in its own time, in its own leisure of awakening. And you will get to that point where you're better. You will get to that point where you feel healthier. You will get to that point where you are in a healthier space, where you are no longer lacking in those areas that don't make you feel so well or that you didn't even understand why you were doing. You will get to that better space. But for now, respect the triggers, respect the shadow, respect what the spirit, higher self, God, whatever you want to call it, the inner being in you is teaching you. And just continue to keep trying to be the best that you can and do the best you can every day. And remember to reach out to those that you feel good around, you feel safe around, you feel supported by, and don't let all the other shit get into your head of all the bad, nasty, past, anger shit that happened with whatever people, whatever circumstances, whatever relationships. Focus on your self-concept, focus within, and comment down below what you felt about this video today, and if it helped you. Leave your thoughts below because I want to hear from what you have to say about your journey and where you are right now. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.